Have to love technology. Sorry about that. Ran out of batteries in the midst of our pricing discussion. So let's talk about the 3 common cost bases. So what is a basis? A basis I consider as a starting point in developing a price for a product. And there's 3 different types of cost bases: cost-based pricing, demand-based pricing, and competitive-based pricing. So cost-based pricing is, in its simplest form, you're trying to determine what sort of profit margin you want to make. This is a really antiquated way of pricing, but I'm going to share it with you because it's a good place to start thinking. Cost plus is a pricing strategy whereas you know exactly how much money you want to make on each item. So if you think about your pair of jeans here, maybe this pair of jeans is cost you $200 to make. And you have decided that for every pair of jeans you make, you want to make $50 profit. So you are going to add $50 onto whatever the cost of that jean is. So you're going to make a $50 profit. So if you think about it, if the price costs $500 and you're using cost plus pricing, you're going to add that $50 on. The price will be $550 and you're going to make a $50 profit, so on and so forth. So you only ever make $50 profit on that particular item. Now, markup pricing is a similar concept. However, you're changing a percentage of the cost on top of it. So let's say, for example, the jeans cost you $200. You want a 10% markup on that, so your profit is going to be $20. Now, if you have a $500 cost and your percent of markup is 10%, you're making a $50 profit. So in this case, the higher the cost, the more profit you're making. So you can see the nuances between the two. I'm not a fan of either of these, but I know in some cases you have to start somewhere. Nobody wants to work for free. You have to at least break even on your pricing, but what this strategy is missing is what the market is willing to pay, which brings me to a couple of tools that you're going to be using in this course, and I want you to just start thinking about how you plan on understanding each element of cost, whether it's fixed or variable, but we will talk about those tools in another video. Demand-based pricing is different from cost-based pricing in that the market is setting the price of the product. So think about airlines. It's the 4th of July week here, and if I were to have taken a trip on an airplane this week, I would have paid because there's a lot of travelers going around the United States over the long weekend. So if I would have shopped around, I would have noticed that the prices for this weekend may have been a lot more expensive than last weekend because there's more people traveling. So the market is bearing a higher price. You can think about this in terms of oil or gasoline at the pump as well. 4th of July weekend, prices are increased because more people are traveling and businesses understand that the market will bear the extra cost of that price. Hotel rooms, let's take the flip side now. Let's say there's a little bit of demand. The hotel rooms in Vegas are empty because it's summer, so the prices are slashed. So they still have a bunch of rooms sitting there empty, so they want to fill bodies with room because they know they might be able to make up money for that room on gambling, on cocktails, on going out for dinner, a show, whatever. So they're going to drop the price of the room to put more bodies in that hotel. So this is demand-based pricing. Now, competition-based pricing is keeping the prices below, above, or at the same of competitors. So your airlines will do this as well to a certain extent if they don't have the value for the consumer. But when I mentioned the pricing strategies that particular organizations will use, sometimes you will see that Walmart, for example, will want to be the lowest price provider. So they will come out and communicate to you that we are just that. So competition-based pricing, it is, a strategy. The reason why Walmart is the low price provider is because they've got a heck of a great supply chain and they can bear that cost. Whereas I'm not sure somebody competing against Walmart has the same thing. So what I want you to think about also is value-based pricing. So determine the price of the product based on the benefits a consumer is willing to bear. This is what I want you to think about. You might, let's say I want to go to Minneapolis to visit family. Would I want to take an airplane or would I want to take an automobile? Well, right now gas prices are super high. So it would probably cost me 3 times as much to take my vehicle to Minneapolis if I drove than if I took an airplane ride. So these are sort of the cognitive exercises we go through as consumers and something you need to consider in your pricing strategy as well. So these are price basis that I want you to think about. There's also psychological based pricing. So these are some fun ones I love. I've done a lot of research in psychological based pricing and I think it's fascinating. So if you've ever been into a restaurant with a fancy restaurant with a bar and you're waiting for your table, and there's something called reference pricing. So if you look up on top of the bar, there's a bunch of pretty bottles up there. We call them top shelf liquor. And so top shelf liquor bears a higher price and it's listed on the top shelf. So sometimes you will go, if you would ever gone down the cereal aisle, for example, at your favorite grocery store, sometimes the very inexpensive generic items will be on the bottom or they'll be way at the end. This is reference pricing where we trick your brain into thinking what you should pay based on where those items are merchandised. Second type of psychological based pricing is multi-unit pricing. So you go to Costco and you get your, boatload of toilet paper and all the things, 8,500 muffins, and you think you're getting a deal. The more you buy doesn't necessarily always mean the more you'll save. You're just buying more. So you need to be careful with multi-unit pricing because our mind will trick us in that is a better deal when at a cost basis it just might not be. Now, numeric pricing, there's a whole bunch of science in what numbers communicate. So if you'll notice, if you go into Walmart, they'll always be at a 98. They end their prices in an 8 because logically people think a price that ends in a 9 is less expensive than something that ends in a 0, like 99-cent stores. There's stores that make a living out of saying 99 cents. So it's comparing a perception of a lower cost by using a number. So think about other pricing strategies as well. Sometimes you have negotiated pricing, like if you're in a high-end jeweler, or maybe some place where there's some flexibility in their margins, like an auto dealership, you have some differential or ability to negotiate. Oftentimes, like for example, if you are in the tech world, you might need to recoup your research and development costs on a new tech product. So generally, when a new tech product comes to market, it's very, very expensive. Like all of your fancy iPhones that come out, they're always more and more expensive because they're recouping what they put into the research and development of that product to bring it to market. There's many other pricing models that I won't go through today, but I want you to think about subscription models, dynamic pricing. In a business-to-business world, it could be pricing, a whole portfolio or bundling. Insurance companies do bundling a lot. freemium models and in subscriptions and apps. So my point here is that there's a lot of various pricing models you can consider, and you should do so. So that is going to wrap up the pricing theory and strategy and different models that I want you to think about. What you want to do is to always keep in mind, what is that overall value of your services to the customer? What are they willing to pay for? And then also, to start off with, what is the sort of profit that you want to make prior to thinking of these other different types of pricing strategies that you can employ? What I will say is, don't automatically think because you're an entrepreneur or you are a startup or you have a new product that you have to price your product lower than the competition. Don't do it. You might be leaving money on the table. Take care.